The FIA WTCC is delivered by DHL.
Final formation lap. The 2016 FIA World Touring Car Championship is about to get underway here at the Circuit Paul Ricard at Le Castellet in France, on board with our world champion. Right in front of him, you can see his teammate, Ivan Muller, who will start a row ahead of Jose Maria Lopez. There's Victor Shapovalov and the rest of the Rosneft Lada Sport team. Their man, Hugo Vallant, all his fanciful imaginings over the winter could not possibly have put him on pole for his first ever race as a Lada driver, but that is exactly where he will start. The DHL pole sitter for the opening race here in France is Hugo Vallant of France. So his home race, his first race for Lada, and he starts on pole ahead of a world champion. Rob Huff's alongside him. Frederick Ekblom third for Volvo. How will that car get off the line? We've not seen them make standing starts before. Mehdi Benani fourth in his Citroën, ahead of factory Honda driver Norbert Michelis in fifth, and Nicky Katzberg sixth in his Lada. Good crowd wrapped up well here on a cold morning in southern France. Team boss Sebastian Loeb watching as his cars take to the grid with everybody else's. The opening race of the FIA World Touring Car Championship here at Paul Ricard in France. Red lights are on and away they go. Good clean start from Rob Huff, gets ahead of Hugo Vallant. Too much wheel spin for the Lada. Frederick Ekblom in the Volvo, looking down the inside. Huffy turns in front of Mehdi Benani, and contact between Ekblom and Katzberg. Ekblom is an experienced touring car racer, but doesn't want to get involved in that. Norbert Michelis in fifth position. Katzberg, beg your pardon, Vallant up to third. Ekblom trying to hold everybody off in both mirrors. Norby gets sideways. Who got into him? That will have been Nicky Katzberg. And Katzberg trying to go around the outside. Tom Coronel beside him. Ivan Muller in the middle of that. Then Thiago Montero. There's Nicky Katzberg. Here's Tom Coronel drafting past him up the straight, up towards Senior. Turning in fifth gear. Shading into sixth position, maybe as the sixth gear rather, as the cars lose a bit of weight when the fuel burns off. Katzberg holds his spot right behind Norbert Michelis. Michelis in the grey, white and red Honda. And again, Coronel looking to the inside of Katzberg. Tom Coronel rejuvenated. He's got Ivan Muller right behind, the other of the red and grey Citroëns. That's the new factory colour scheme to get used to this season, is Jose Maria Lopez. We're on board with him. And Lopez trying to come around the outside of car number two, Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini around the outside. Look at the traction that the Lada has got. It can drive around the outside of the world champion Citroën. That is a big step up that Lada have made this season. Huff across the line, leading from Benani and Valenti. Then Ekblom in the Volvo. And Lopez still trying to get by Tarquini. He'll do it on speed down into the first corner. Chilton in another Citroën is right behind. Gabriele tucks in behind the world champion. Chilton's got his hands full with teammate de Moustier. Two Sebastian Loeb racing entries. There's de Moustier, the number 11 car. Little bobble for him. See the Volvo, Frederick Ekblom in fourth place, leading this group with Norbert Michelis behind him, then Nicky Katzberg in the Lada, and Tarquini's not given up, has he? He's towing up behind Lopez down the straight in the background. Huff, then Benani and Valenti. Rob Huff trying to break away from the leaders. 1100's up, Valenti drifts a little wide behind Benani. He'd had a lunge into Senior. Tarquini didn't get by Lopez with the blue mirrors, and at the back, running out wide, is René Munich. Ted Björk's already picked off him and John Philippi. So Björk making progress in the second Polestar Volvo. Lopez feeling the pressure. Drive through for a jump start for Ivan Muller. Wow, that is a big penalty in the first race of the season. Watch Muller's the first of the two red and grey cars. Lights had not gone off, and he was travelling already. Realised his error. Well, hard to see from that view, but the onboard from behind, courtesy of Tarquini, showed that Muller was clearly moving before the red lights went off. Well, Rob Huff leads now as Muller comes down pit road, served the penalty early. Don't forget, he will start third place on the grid in the main race, so still an opportunity to score strongly there, even if this one has eluded him. With Norbert Mikelic behind Fredrik Ekblom. Well, this is something you can be sure that the Volvo drivers have not had a chance to practice, and that is racing against anybody else. They may have done race simulation runs with each other, but certainly not with any other car. There's the Polestar Cyan Racing team, and there is Fredrik Ekblom in fourth position and comfortably holding off Norbert Mikelic at the moment. And how will the Volvo use its tyres? The Yokohama control tyre, that's new to them as well. They're desperately trying to learn all of that, how the tyre wears, how it performs in different temperatures, how you get the best out of it in qualifying. Things that the other engineers, like the Honda engineers who are running Norby's car, they'll know that, like the Citroën engineers had to learn when they arrived. De Moustier dives down the inside of teammate Chilton and takes away 11th position. Well, both De Moustier and Chilton new to this car. They got Ted Bjerk behind. De Moustier outbrakes himself a little bit down into Virage du Lac and into Virage du Pont. The final corner there, nearly wheel to wheel. Mikelic, Norby has got in front of Fredrik Ekblom, so change for fourth place. And Mikelic there, we saw him tailing Ekblom around through Senior and the Doubledois de Beausset, and he has got through, and you have to assume he had a lunge down into the final corner. Nicky Katzberg next up, and then Tom Coronel on board in the Chevrolet. Well, let's take a look. The replay shows Norby into the final corner, Virage du Pont. That's experience of the circuit as well. Neither Ted Bjerk or Fredrik Ekblom have ever raced at the circuit Paul Ricard, and Ekblom probably didn't realise that the last corner was an overtaking opportunity, left the door open, and Norby went through it like a rat up a drain pipe. So Mikelic up to fourth, Ekblom down to fifth. Katzberg now battling with Coronel. Katzberg drifts out wide. Look at the grip the Chevy is still producing on the inside. Drifts out a little wide on the exit, but he has got by. And Thiago Montero trying to get in there as well. Goes the long way around the outside. That gives him the inside, but no. Katzberg shuts the door. And behind him is Jose Maria Lopez, who is in ninth spot now. Will earn points at the moment from this first race of the season. Whoa, down the inside, Montero makes a lunge at Katzberg. The tighter line on the inside, though, as he comes off the corner, means he can't get on the throttle quite as early as the Lada driver, but he's now got Lopez lining up behind him, trying to help him with the tow. Lopez is also trying to get by Katzberg. He's on the inside, and Nicky is going to lose 2 spots. Or is he? Goes a long way around the outside. Montero goes through, but Katzberg shuts the door on Lopez. Remember, we had a Lopez, and was it Lopez and Tarquini incident there last year, wheel to wheel, door to door for the lead of the race. Oh, and turned around, Fredrik Ekblom. That was Ekblom, spun in the second corner. You saw Ted Bjerk going through, so who made contact with him? Tom Coronel was the next car up, and Tom is slowing, or has slowed a little on the straight, and Thiago Montero's got by him. So Montero is now 5th in the red, white and green Honda. Coronel, the DHL Chevrolet, is in 6th, and the yellow car of Nicky Katzberg in 7th position. Then up to 8th is Jose Maria Lopez, 9th Gabriele Tarquini. And Katzberg trying to hold off Coronel. Oh, runs out of road. Comes back on just inside the Dutchman, but I think he's going to have to yield here because he knows that he exceeded track limits. So his best opportunity here will be to try and shut the door and get inside in front of Jose Maria Lopez, and he's not done that. That wasn't a good move by the Dutchman. He knocked Coronel out. Coronel's lost a spot. Katzberg has lost a spot, and Lopez went up 2. And here comes Tarquini, the 4th of those cars. The other Lada, they're going 3 wide into the first corner. And Tarquini bails out of that, knows that disaster lies in that direction. Lopez, 80 kilos of success ballast on board his Citroën, can barely get away from the Chevrolet of Tom Coronel. manages to keep his nose in front, and Lopez driving cannily here, but desperate to pick up points with Ivan Muller, who he must see as one of his main championship rivals, certainly. Muller unlikely to score here after that drive through. Ted Bjerg, the blue Volvo, behind Gregoire de Moustier. Bjerg is up to 10th place, I think, now, or 11th position. Lots of jiggery-pokery going on in the order. Rob Huff still leads by 2.6 seconds, seeing nothing of him. Oh, and damage on the left rear corner. Fredrik Ekblom not going to finish the race. Now, was that a breakage or was that contact? Hard to tell. What we need to see is Tom Coronel's view of that. Picked up that one too late to see whether there was contact. Coronel had to take avoiding action. Doesn't seem to be any marks on the front of his car. Maybe Fredrik Ekblom hit a tyre stack or a curb too hard, and it's damaged that left rear corner. Gabriele Tarquini chases Nicky Katzberg down the straight. This is the battle for 8th position. And then behind de Moustier and Bjerg. That's de Moustier 10th in the number 11 Citroën. And the bright blue car of Ted Bjerg right behind him, and de Moustier gets onto the inside of Gabriele Tarquini and turns both cars around. Bjerg seizing the opportunity to try and get alongside that Citroën C-Elysée. John Philippi right behind, so is Tom Chilton there. There's Philippi's car right behind Tom Chilton. And Ted Bjerg didn't get alongside de Moustier. Tarquini wriggling down the straight. Has he got damage? He has. I think Tarquini's car is not tracking straight. Right rear suspension looks to be out of line. So Gabriele Tarquini has been damaged by de Moustier's rash lunge. 7 of 16 laps down. Rob Huff leading by now 2.3 seconds over Mehdi Banani. So Huff, I think, is starting to peg his pace. There's Sebastian Loeb Racing. There is the Polestar Cyan Racing team. And the relevance of that is that Sebastian Loeb Racing running the 2 Citroëns that are in front and behind the Volvo. Gregoire de Moustier in front of it. And the 3rd Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroën, that is Mehdi Banani's car, who currently lies in 2nd. Hugo Valente 3rd, Norman Mikulich in 4th, ahead of his teammate Thiago Montero. So 3 of the top 5 cars are Honda factory cars. Ted Bjerg looking down the inside of Gregoire de Moustier for 9th place. Bjerg in the points at the moment in 10th. Tom Coronel just behind him, with John Philippi giving him a tough time in that Chevrolet. Gabriele Tarquini comes back into pit lane with a damaged car. Fredrik Ekblom's already in the pits. Tarquini joins him. Ivan Muller's had a drive-through. He's now 14th and last on the road. A long way behind. You can see right in the background under the bridge. There is Muller. So you can see what the gap was to René Munich. And he has got, we're on lap 8 now of 16, so he's got another 8 laps. He might catch Munich, but I can't see him catching this group for a top 10 points finish. Well, weather forecast for today was not good at any stage, and so far we've managed to avoid the R word. Let's hope that that continues at least for the first race. There's Tarquini's car, big damage.
Suspension part or just a tire puncture? No, I think he's also the suspension, I think.
Yeah, Gabriele saying he thinks it was also suspension. He's absolutely right. You can see the hub there was nothing like pointing forwards. It's out sideways. So a damaged arm at the left rear, and I would think that they will be looking at that incident between Gregoire de Moustier and Gabriele Tarquini. De Moustier definitely hit Tarquini on the inside. Whether it was avoidable or not is for somebody else to decide. Coronel now with Katzberg behind. 2 Dutch drivers. Very different cars. And there's de Moustier just ahead of Ted Bjerg. The Volvo giving a good account of itself in this first race of the championship. Qualified strongly, the car's showing good pace, and it's holding its race pace as well. Ted Bjerg, fastest race lap, 1:31.55. Last lap, 1:32.7, so 1.2 seconds away, but he's been held up by de Moustier. Mestier, one of his best race weekends of the season last year was here in Paul Ricard, a track that he knew already from previous racing, and also one with lots of big wide runoff areas where you can actually afford to try and take a few risks. Unlike places like, say, Marrakesh, that he'd just been to before, where no risks are allowed. You can see the damage on the left front of his car where he clattered into Tarquini. Left front of his car, right rear of Tarquini's. Seems unlikely that Tarquini reversed into him, but whether they will judge that Tarquini closed the door when de Mestier was alongside or not remains to be seen. There's your leader, Rob Huff. Now, still 2.3 ahead of Bonani. And Coronel runs out very wide indeed from the final corner to hold off Nicky Katzberg. This is the battle for 7th place. Katzberg on the inside. Couldn't quite get the overlap. Let's take a look here. Last corner. Tom didn't have any contact there. Just didn't quite get in the line in he wanted. Had to close the door, went in a little flat, and that meant he was always going to drift wide on the exit. He couldn't really afford to be off throttle too long coming onto the front straight. De Mestier and Ted Björk battling now for this 9th position as the battle for 7th rages in front of them. Tom Chilton just outside the points here. Chilton is going to start both races from 12th position. Another little lock-up through this long, almost never-ending double right. It tightens as well late on, this double right at Le Beausset. And then through the left at Virage de Bondour. Well, Ted Björk in his Volvo and teammate Fredrik Ekblom had no previous racing experience of this track. They do now at least have a little bit on which to base their second outings. Rob Huff, Mehdi Bonani, Ugo Valente, your top 3. But Valente's podium position might be in trouble if Norbert Mikelic can join battle with him. Norby just half a second behind. Valente will be desperate to try and hang on to this. There is the Honda garage with Norby's girlfriend looking, as ever, very... Oh! De Mestier drifting out a little wide, and Ted Björk lunging up the inside, grabs 9th place, and De Mestier now with Chilton right behind. And that was out of turn 2. 1 to 2 is really critical. If you don't get the entry to turn 1 right, you're in all sorts of trouble for turn 2, the little cut through between the front straight and the back straight here. Coronel just ahead of Katzberg as they turn into Senior, and Ted Björk up to 9th position ahead of Gregoire de Mestier. Here's the battle for 3rd. Norbert Mikelic all over the back of Ugo Valente. Well, Valente in France will desperately want to hang on here, desperately want to take that opening race podium. To be on the podium, first race of the season, just tilts your hat in the right direction, doesn't it? It gives you that boost of confidence. And for the Lada team, the pace of the Vesta versus the Honda Civic versus the Volvo versus the success ballasted Citroens is very evident. I think we've got a fairly level playing field at the moment, at least until after Hungary, when the weight perhaps starts to come off the Champs-Élysées. Then we might see its performance start to climb back up again. At the moment, leading Citroën Champs-Élysées is the world champion, Jose Maria Lopez. He's up to 6th position. I beg your pardon, of course it's not, it's Mehdi Bonani. He's in 2nd position. There is Lopez on his own in the background, the red and grey car. Alessandro Mariani and the men at Yasport watching as Rob Huff continues to lead. They've still got 3 cars in the top 5. Eleven laps completed. We're on lap 12 of 16, the opening race here in France, and now Norby has been caught by Tiago. So Rob Huff leads, Mehdi Bonani 2nd, Ugo Valente 3rd, Honda, Citroën and Lada. And then 2 further factory Hondas Norbert Mikelic, despite the different colour scheme, he's not a Castrol Honda, but he is a factory Honda driver. So those two cars, the two drivers, work together, sit in the same briefings with the same engineers, work in the same garage, eat in the same hospitality unit, and are run by the same group of people. And Norby now knows that he's got to make a move, lunges to the inside of Valente, takes third place, and here comes Thiago. He's on the inside as well. Can't press it home, just didn't have enough of an overlap there. But Valente all over the curbs. Thiago now lunges to the inside at Chicane du Nord. No, he doesn't. Didn't have an overlap there, but he'll be behind Valente on the Mistral. Norby is gone, scuttling off to make it third place for the Hungarian. Rob Huff leads from Mehdi Banani, and Norbert Mikelic is up to third. Coronel and Katzberg still at it in the all-Dutch battle for seventh. Looking back at Katzberg, slipstreaming up to senior. And that's exactly what the green, white and red Honda of Thiago Monteiro was doing to Ugo Valente, but couldn't get a run on the Lada. And Valente, having been caught out by Mikelic, will be doubly determined now not to be caught out in the same way by Thiago Monteiro. He's off the podium, but still fourth position in the opening race of the season would be a great result for him. Oh, and this time Monteiro goes inside the final corner. And Valente couldn't hold him off. The Hondas now move up first, third and fourth, but Valente being warned about exceeding track limits. That may well have been on the exit of Senior. You can carry an awful lot more speed through that six-gear corner if you use a lot of the runoff area. Well, the flag has been shown to Valente, but actually that's probably fairly redundant because the car behind him, Jose Maria Lopez, is the better part of a second behind. May not catch Valente in the next couple of laps. You can see that Nicky Katzberg and Tom Coronel are being gradually reeled in by Ted Björk. Katzberg having a great ding-dong battle with Coronel, will not give this one up. Katzberg, incidentally, also made it through into Q3 on pace. So we had Muller and Lopez, we had Thiago Monteiro, Tom Coronel and Nicky Katzberg. So we had two Citroens, a Chevrolet, a Honda and a Lada. Well, let's hear from Hugo Valente.
Fais attention aux limites de piste, fais attention aux limites de piste.
Team radio saying, pay attention to track limits, pay attention to track limits. So he has just been doubly warned by the team. So that was Philippe de Corsac on the radio to Hugo Valente. And here you go, way, oh, that wasn't at Senior though, that was way out on the exit of turn 2. He had to go outside the tyre stack or he would have just destroyed the car. Now then, he might actually have to pay attention because Lopez sent his blood in the water. He knows that Valente is either running out of tyres or brakes or something, and he's seen him passed by both Hondas, and now Lopez fancies a bit of that fifth place point action. Coronel still holding off Katzberg, and Katzberg now with his mirrors full of Ted Björk. Come on, Tom, get out of the way. Keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Ted Björk is close in the Volvo S60. And Björk, I'm sure, looking forward to getting his sleeves rolled up here and getting engaged in a bit more battle. Fredrik Ekblom, his teammate, got spun out earlier on, or span out earlier on. We're not sure whether it was contact or just the car. Something failed on it. Try and find that out before our next race. Long gap back now between the Valente-Lopez battle for fifth to the Coronel-Katzberg-Björk battle. This is 7th, 8th and 9th, on board in 9th place, the Volvo S60. Right in front of him, the Lada Vesta. So 3 different manufacturers in this battle. Rob Huff leads, somebody's just come down pit road again. That looks like Gabriele Tarquini had been out and back in. Or was that René Munich? No. Fredrik Ekblom, in fact, has gone back out. So you can just saw a fraction on the left-hand side of your screen as the leaders come onto the last lap. You saw a fraction of blue. There he is. Fredrik Ekblom is waiting for everybody to go by. What he really doesn't want to do is make enemies in the paddock by getting in somebody's battle. Hugo Valente holding on to fifth, last lap. Here comes Jose Maria Lopez, and Coronel and Katzberg make contact, and through goes Ted Björk. Coronel's off track, Katzberg on the inside. Björk takes both places as the Dutch pair continue their wrangle from 1 to 2. The Volvo has gone through. Coronel will be having a couple of stern words in Dutch with his compatriot Nicky Katzberg. You cost us both a place there. Last lap lunge from the Lada driver to try and get by the Chevrolet. And Katzberg still trying behind de Moustier and Chilton. De Moustier is 10th, Tom Chilton right behind him, can't get close. Katzberg on the inside in Senior. And that is real tippy-toe, hang-on stuff. Coronel tries to hang on and into Le Beausset. Katzberg with the overlap on the inside, which will only gather momentum as they turn right, right, right. And through goes Katzberg. Well, in the end, he stays where he was position-wise as Rob Huff comes out of the final corner. The 2012 world champion wins his first ever race in a Honda. In second place, Mehdi Benani, and in third place across the line will be Norbert Mikelic ahead of Thiago Montero, and Hugo Valente takes fifth position with Jose Maria Lopez in sixth. Well, you see the Citroën battle behind, but Ted Björk, the second of the blue Volvos, takes seventh place ahead of Nicky Katzberg and Tom Coronel. Grégoire de Moustier, the last of the point scorers, in 10th ahead of Tom Coronel. But for the Honda team, for Yas Sport, 1, 3, 4.
Well done, boys. Great effort.
Well, Rob Huff complained about vibration throughout qualifying yesterday evening. Caught up with him, he said, we found out what it was. The front splitter, the big shelf at the nose of the car that generates so much downforce, was fractionally loose. It was chattering away under high load. And that has gone, and he now has a winning car on his hands.
The FIA WTCC is brought to you by JVC Kenwood.